Ladies and gentlemen, I am here in Florida. I am sitting in my wife's childhood room, and I just finished up a great interview with my father in law, Charlie, Choo Choo Boldt, um, a runner. Great guy. I've known him for 15 years. But he told some stories today that I didn't really know. I'd never heard before. And I think you guys will enjoy it. So, I start everything off with great stories. Running, big runner, bowling. Let me tell you, there's no correlation between the two because we tried to get into it. But I felt it was a great conversation, and we talked for about an hour and a half. So sit back, enjoy it. If you need to segment it, do it because I think it was a really good conversation. And of all my guests and all the guests that have been previous and to come, great conversation with my father-in-law, and we went in some depth that we've never been into before, and he corrected us a lot on mine and Lindsay's conversation. So apparently my wife has no idea about her own parents and how they met and all of these things. But it was fun. Like I said, we're sitting in Lindsay's bedroom where she grew up. I have the dog here. We're here for a wedding of our friend, Mr. Leonard. And yeah, that's it. It's fantastic. It was a fun conversation. We laughed a lot. We drank a lot. And that's just who Charlie is. That's how I know him. And I wouldn't change it. Great gentleman, great guy, great father-in-law, great dad. And I hope you enjoy it. As always, rate it on Apple. Give it 5 stars. Write a comment. It's the only way that this thing gets out to more people. You guys enjoy it. Why not give the joy to other people? Let me know what you think about it. I've been much more vulnerable than I have ever in the past about getting on Instagram and talking about things and documenting things. I'll continue to do so if you find it valuable and it's fun and enjoyable. But let me know. Let me know how you think about. Let me know what you think about the show. And I think you guys are gonna love this one. Charlie crushed it. It was awesome. I had a great time. We laughed a lot. Like I said, we drank a lot, and it was as expected for 2 cents worth. Just a fun, open conversation, unedited, no bullshit. Enjoy it, peeps. It was awesome. Go. Welcome to 2 cents worth. I am your host, Ryan DeFaber, your loving, honest, consistent host, Ryan DeFaber. I have brought the studio all the way to Florida for a very special podcast. First podcast on location. Every single one of them beforehand has been at the Bears Den studio. I brought the Bears Den studio on a road trip today, and if you followed on Instagram, if you followed on Instagram, you saw all the things that we did on the road trip, which was basically drive and stop at rest stops or visitor centers and have lunch. I am here with my loving father-in-law, Mr. Charles Boldt.
The redneck?
The Rattlesnake is how I know you. And how some of my friends, particularly Preston Buckman, knows you as the old Rattlesnake Charles Boldt. So we are here in your house in Florida. How long is this? How long have you lived in this house?
Since 1990, 28 years.
28 years, designed by you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
So
designed by me. I hired builder to build it.
It's a one of a kind.
Yes, it is. Yep. One of a kind. It's a custom home.
Okay. Well, first say hello.
Yes, hello. This is Chuck Boldt in my home in Spring Hill, Florida. And in one of his previous podcasts, he mentioned that I was in Charlotte. Well, we figure we spend like 85% of our time in Florida and 15% in Charlotte. So we're going back and forth a lot because that's where the grandkids are. So I've got to go up to Charlotte and visit.
You don't have to. You want to go up to Charlotte.
I want to.
Yep.
So we got tired of bunking with them, so I bought a house.
You can't hide money, people. You just can't. I mean, it's impossible to do it. So we are here in your house for 28 years. Your house, one of a kind, Spring Thrill, Florida. Mm-hmm. So let's start with that. So what got you into down here to Florida? Because you're not originally from Florida, upstate New York.
Yeah,
born and raised,
Western New York, right outside of.
And we'll get back to that because it leads to the story of you and running, and that's what we want to talk about today. But I do want to talk about how did you get to Florida, what brought you to Florida, and what's kept you here for 30 years.
My career. I was in civil engineering, and I started in surveying and got into civil engineering and land planning. And then the housing market in Western New York and the Buffalo area was just drying up. And I just didn't see another 30 years of work there. I just didn't see it. So my loving wife, agreed to pick up her roots and follow me, and she felt as a teacher, she could get a job teaching anywhere. And she taught learning disabled kids. So it's a high demand and it's in need. So she said, fine, go buy a house. I'll be a month behind you. And that's what we did. I got a job right away. I got several offers and bought a house. And the first time she saw it, I flew up to Buffalo from Tampa, got in the car, drove her to the house, and she looked orange cabinets in the kitchen. Never forget that. Yeah.
What year was that?
That was in 1981.
Orange is acceptable.
Maybe in 81 it was. Yeah.
I was hoping it would be the 70s. Be like, of course it's 70s. You would definitely have orange cabinets. 80s, you're on that brink of that's no longer acceptable.
Well, the colors in this house were bright.
Yeah.
And the kitchen was orange. One of the bedrooms was bright yellow. One of the other bedrooms was bright blue. And we were going to put Aaron, who at the time was 3 years old, our oldest son, our son, and we were going to put him in the yellow room. So when boxes were coming off the moving van, they didn't belong in the kitchen. They didn't belong in the living room, dining room, master bedroom, Aaron's room. Just put them in the blue room. Just put them in the blue room. So when I built this house, the spare room, I painted blue because it had to be a blue room.
It was a blue room.
A blue room.
It still is the blue room.
It still is a blue room.
Our youngest kid now is sleeping in the blue room right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. So, and you mentioned your loving wife, and I want to touch on that because if anyone's listened to the podcast beforehand, I had my loving wife, Lindsay, your daughter, on, and we tried to tell the story of how you two met, and I have been since corrected that we told it wrong. So I would like... This is your...
The details were close.
The details were... They were off a little bit.
They were off a little bit.
And in my...
The outline was there.
In my defense, we went on a date night. We had a bottle of wine and beers. So the brain was fuzzy for both of us.
As it is probably
As it
right
is
now.
right now because we're sitting here drinking. So how did you and Anne meet? And then I want to tell the story, how you met, and then how did you get proposed? Because in all honesty, of what everybody, I think, around the world listening would say is, I think it's a very unique and not common time frame.
Yeah, the love at first sight, which you hear about and then never happens, did.
Yeah.
She was a waitress in a restaurant. And it was a restaurant by day, and by night it was a nightclub. And they had live bands, live music. So I did the signs, just on the side. I put the signs in the windows of the bands that were playing this week, next week, following weeks, and things of that nature. I just free-handed, painted the signs, slapped them up in the window. Monday night, there was no music. On Tuesday nights, the bands we had live music from Tuesday through Sunday at this club. So I got there early, and I'm putting up the signs on a Tuesday, and I put them up in the window. And I go to the bar to have a drink, and they had free chicken wings, and Michael was the bartender. And I'm looking around, and they're still serving late lunches, early dinners, whatever. It was probably about 5:30. And there's a cute little girl over there. I said, Michael, who is that? Oh, that's Ann. I says, she's kind of cute. I said, well, why don't you see if you buy her a drink? So she came over to the bar. I said, can I buy you a drink? She said, no. Said, no, I'm fine. But finally, after her shift was over, and this table of gentlemen left, and she got a nice tip, I remember, and she sat there, and we were just talking and talking, and it was about 9:45. So we'd been there 3-4 hours just talking, and we had a couple drinks, and I said, gee, Ann, I'm sorry, I have to excuse myself. I have to go pick up my girlfriend from work. True. Absolutely true story. And I said, but can you meet me here again tomorrow night at 6:00? She could, absolutely. So she gets in her car, drives home. I go and pick up my girlfriend. And where do I go? I come back to this bar. It's called the Crossbow.
The Crossbow.
The Crossbow. So
does it exist anymore?
No, it doesn't.
I wouldn't imagine, but okay.
So the next night, and I'm sitting at the bar waiting. No Ann. It's 6:30, 7, 7:15. I turned to Michael and said, I don't think she's going to show. He says, she will be. If she said she's going to be here, she's going to be. About 7:30, she strolls in. She said, I got home from work. I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Okay. So have a couple more drinks. It's 9:45. Gotta go pick up my girlfriend. Says, but hey, now this is Wednesday night. I said, tell you what. I'll go pick up a girlfriend, take her home, tell her I don't feel well. I'm going to go home. I'll come back and meet you here. Okay, fine. So I picked up Betsy from work, took her home, came back to the Crossbow, and Ann and I, we stayed there late. And that was Wednesday. By Saturday, we kept doing this, and meeting, and we just knew there was something clicking. And that Saturday, I said, let's get married. She said no. No, I'm not ready for that. But, and we kept going on and on. And anyway, about a week later, she finally said, okay. So it was like 2 weeks.
So when did you break up with his girlfriend?
The day after I proposed to
him. Oh my God. The first time?
What?
The first time you proposed to her?
No, the second time. After she said yes. After she said yes, I had to go to Betsy and say,
I'm getting married.
I'm sorry, I'm getting married. And she'd go, what? It was like, because I was seeing her at the same time. And then I went to my parents.
Yeah.
And I explained, I said, Mom, Dad, I'm getting married. I'm engaged to this girl. I'm getting married. And my mother said, to who? Which girl? She didn't know one.
So I didn't know about the whole the girlfriend part. I think well, first off, God bless your wife for actually showing up the second night.
Yes.
After you told her, sorry, I got to go pick up my girlfriend. Love to still hang out with you. And she still comes back day after day. Yep. But now, obviously, knowing, my mother-in-law, I can see, that the type of personality that she is. But still.
But that's
okay. So
true.
So Tuesday, Saturday, you proposed. No.
She said no.
Week later,
she said yeah. So we had to tell our parents. And I remember because I had met her mom and dad, and she invited me over to dinner. So this is like maybe 3 weeks after I'd met her. Mm-hmm. And she said, okay, this is a good time to ask my dad. So I go into the kitchen. I said, Mr. Baltus, I would like your daughter's hand in marriage. And he just stood there, took his glasses off, just wiped his brow, put his glasses back on, said, "Well, I trust my daughter's judgment." Okay. Just like that. And this is June,
Yeah.
and we got married in December.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was
So you knew each other for 6 months and
6
3
months.
weeks.
yeah, something like that. 6 months. Yeah. Yep.
And you've been married?
46 years.
Jesus
We just
Christ.
had our 46.
It's super unique.
Yeah, you can write a book and no one will believe it.
I mean, just hearing that story. Now, I've been married to your daughter for, this is our 12th year. It could be our, it'll be
you
our
had
12th
your
year.
11th
Yeah.
anniversary in September.
This will be our 12th year in September. And I've never heard that full story. And I still can't believe it. 45 plus years. That's,
Yep.
well, that's, like you said, love at first sight,
Yeah,
right?
we had thought maybe we'd get married in the spring,
Yeah.
but when her mother said, "Well, look, if you get married," because she started teaching already, and so we're looking, okay, when's a good break? We thought Easter break, June. Everybody gets married in June, and her mother was the one that said, "Let's get married in December. The church will all be decorated. You won't have to buy any flowers."
That's someone that's pretty savvy with their money.
So yeah, and when we were trying to find a place for a honeymoon, we just got out a map. The United States. We didn't know each other.
Yeah,
we
right.
didn't know.
You
each
didn't know
other.
what you liked
No.
or what they want.
No,
each
as a matter of fact,
each
when we
other
found
wanted.
an upper flat, I'll never forget this. When we're moving into an upper flat in Orchard Park, New York,
Yeah.
and she's taking these ski. Now I'm a runner, and we're going to get into this shortly.
We're gonna
but
get into it,
I'm
yeah.
a runner.
I like that
And-
you told me that we're going to get into this later. I'm the host.
I'm
Remember
sorry.
that? Yeah.
Forget. Yeah.
Yeah, but we will talk about your
She's
running.
carrying these skis up the staircase up to the top floor, and I'm going, wait a minute, what are these skis? Well, I can see that, but you ski? Oh yeah, and I'll teach you. And I go, no, you're not. Well, she did, and I loved it.
Downhill, cross country?
Both. Yeah,
Both? Okay.
Yeah. We did a lot of downhill skiing the first 7 or 8 years, but the lift lines were getting so long. And so we thought, gee, cross country skis, you just strap them on, put a wine sack over your back, and
you go.
just off you go. And
Which
we
we're
used-
also going to get into is your I was going to sound terrible. Your love for alcohol. That's not it. It was more of like, I think any couple has, their common interests of whatever and wine and not so much beer.
I love beer,
wine. We'll
but-
talk about beer, but wine for
yeah.
you guys is obviously
that's
something
what
very common.
I
It's got a
love
glass of
Chardonnay.
wine.
I never knew I liked Chardonnay until I had a good Chardonnay. That's how I
Right.
put it.
Okay, so you pull out a map.
Yep, and that's right. Have you been here? Yep. Have you been here? No, I don't want to go there. So New Orleans. I haven't been there. I haven't been there either. It says New Orleans. It is. So we cash our paychecks, get on a plane.
Well, no, and I want to go back because after the wedding,
Yes.
because this doesn't happen in today's age. First off, because you have TSA, you have all the X-rays, you have all of these things. So, because I know the story and I want the people to hear it, you get married,
Yes.
you have your luggage, you're ready to go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
You go to New Orleans.
Yes.
What happens when you open your luggage?
I opened up my luggage, and my cousin had basically emptied my silverware drawer into my suitcase. Spoons, knives, forks, and boxes of condoms. I don't know how he did it or when he did it, but he finally admitted that he did it. And yeah, you couldn't get through security with.
No, you can't.
No, with a table setting of 12.
If you walked into an airport today and put that on the weights and they said, okay, great, and they put it on the conveyor belt, you would have been stopped at the gate.
Oh, yeah.
Because so you're the owner of this bag. I need to understand, why do you have 15 forks, 20 spoons, and not plastic ones, metal?
No, yeah.
What are you planning on doing? I do like the... so this is now the second time that someone has been on the show talking about condoms. So British Steve was on, And when he went back to England, he talked about how he got a job in quote unquote marketing, and his marketing was for music festivals. He basically was handing out boxes full of like condoms and lube and everything to all these concert goers. So, you know,
See, I've been to a lot of concerts, and I've never had that.
I've never had anyone hand me a box of condoms or lube, nor have I ever opened up my luggage and found half of my silverware and condoms in there either.
Yes.
But
How did you find out about that?
you've told me, I think,
have?
like 5-6 times.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we've known each other a long
Yes,
time.
we
This has
have.
been like 15 years now. I've been married to your daughter for 12, so
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We've gone back
Yes.
a few years
Yes.
with a lot of alcohol, too.
Yes.
Yep.
But only good alcohol.
Oh, yeah. Good. Well, we're going to get into that, too, because I
Okay.
see one of your beers behind you. We'll talk about good alcohol.
Oh, come on. It's a Beck's.
The only I didn't want. I was
I don't
waiting.
drink IPAs.
I was waiting. I don't need you. You don't need to drink an IPA. I was waiting to the end of the show to talk about it. But you're by far the only person in my entire life I've ever met that drinks Beck's.
I go in spurts. I go in cycles. I mean, I remember when we first got married, I drank Bush. And then I got on
Still around and popular.
Then I got on a Pabst Blue Ribbon kick, you know?
Super popular now.
Is it really?
The hipster community
My
has
father used to-
embraced
Oh.
Pabst.
My father used to call it Panther piss.
Well, you can go to any bar in any part of the country right now
Really?
and get a tall boy of Pabst, and
On tap.
you can get Pabst probably on tap, and you
Yeah.
can get a tall boy of Pabst, and you can look around the bar, and you're going to see people that you would never expect drinking it in excess.
Wow.
Very popular again.
Well, then I was just ahead of this.
Yeah,
ahead of
you were ahead of the curve.
There we go.
Now, so maybe you're ahead of the curve on Beck's.
See,
I don't
maybe,
know, because
maybe.
again, you're the only person I've ever had to buy Beck's for, seen buy Beck's before, drink Beck's.
Yeah, you even have one with me every once
I'll
in a
have.
while.
I don't mind it. It's just it's a strange beer to be that your beer. You know, like that's your go-to beer.
Well, when I was in Western New York, my go-to beer was Canadian Ale.
Okay.
And Labatt's 50 Ale was really that was my brand.
Yeah.
And still, when I go up fishing up in Canada, still it's Labatt's 50. So, but
They
Beck's
still sell Labatt's 50.
absolutely.
I know they sell
Oh, yeah.
Labatt's Blue. I've never
Yeah.
heard of Labatt's 50.
Yeah, that's the ale that you just can't get it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I
the
can't
ale
imagine
version.
they would send it. They sell it in the South unless.
No.
I take that back. Here, maybe.
Haven't
Florida's got a lot of Canadians.
I know, but I've never seen the ale.
No.
No.
Okay.
No. So this is it's close to a Canadian ale.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So, all right. We've talked about how you've met, and
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about how you've got to Florida. And I know you want to talk about it, and you've been itching at it because you did mention it, and you told me we were going to talk about it.
Well, you talk about sports and all your
This is
casts,
the point of
so,
it.
Yeah, no.
I do want to talk about sports.
Yes.
You're a runner.
Yes.
You weren't always a runner.
I had
I think you had the itch for it, right? Like you always
at 8.
enjoyed it, but you were not always a full-time.
No, because there was a time when and I have to correct my daughter. She said I was training for the 72 Olympics. That was a dream of mine to reach the 72 or 76 Olympics in the 10,000 meter. That was my dream. Mm-hmm. But I was training for the 69 Boston Marathon
Okay.
when I fell against a curb on Colvin Boulevard in Kenmore, New York, doing a long run. And it just wasn't the same since. So I stopped running for almost 18 years.
How old were you?
How old was I then? I was 19.
19?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had hoped to run 2:50, 2 hours and 50 minutes. That was my goal then in 69. And then hopefully improve on that, obviously, because if I was going to be world caliber in the 10,000 meters, I should be running 2:20.
So for us Americans, how far is 10,000 meters?
6.2 miles.
There you go. See, because I'm going to tell you, I'm not the only person sitting here for the first 45 seconds of you saying that going, how the fuck long is 10,000 meters? because you mentioned the time to it. You're like,
yeah.
all right, so 2 hours and 50 minutes. I mean, it's
no,
got to be long.
But a marathon, no, a marathon. No, don't, a marathon.
The marathon, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
a marathon's 26.2 miles.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And then half is 13.1.
Yes.
See, I can do math really
Yes.
quickly.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. I'm smart. All right, so you're
Yeah.
19. You're training for this.
Yeah.
You hurt yourself.
Yep.
You stopped running for, what'd you say, 8 years?
18.
18 years.
Yes.
So that's funny because all I've ever known of our relationship is you waking up at. I talk about it all the time now about myself. I wake up at the ass crack of dawn. You, before I started waking up at the ass crack of dawn, I've always.
Yeah.
That's all I've known of you.
Well, it started my bad habit of just not sleeping in college.
Yeah.
You stay out all night, and then you got an 8 o'clock class. And maybe at 3 in the morning, you're cramming for a test. I mean, it was just so not sleeping has just been a norm for me. I just never have been a sleeper. Never. So
That's. So can you tell me how your daughter has the trait of. I mean, we could have a marching band in our bedroom and she'll sleep through it. Meanwhile, the dog licks his ass and I wake up. I just want to understand. So you don't sleep. So
No.
is Anne a heavy sleeper?
yes.
All right. So Lindsay just
She-
walked in. So Lindsay, you get that from
Yeah.
your mom. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I just wanted to figure it out where I can draw similarities because I'm so confused on how she's able to sleep.
Light sleep. I'll sleep an hour and then wake up for another hour or two, and I'll sleep another half an hour, and I'm like that all night.
Always been like that?
Yeah.
Or
I've always
started
been
in
like that.
college.
It started in college.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm 68 now, so I never grew out of it.
Well, that's fine. The older you are, the less sleep you need, I guess, right? You seem fine.
Yeah. But I turned to bowling. I mean, you mentioned that. and-
I know. We're going to talk about bowling.
I got to get to how I started running.
I know that's what I want to get to.
Yeah.
I want to go all the way back. We talked about how you got injured.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're trying to fix everything that was wrong with Lindsay and I's
and that's
conversation.
all out of whack. Yeah. Yeah.
And again, remember what I said. We were half in the bag when that was all. Plus, I didn't even know half the story what you just told me anyway. So correct us, but let's get back to how you started running. I don't want to talk about how you got injured because I think it's very interesting on how anyone chooses running, especially in not even today's society, but like even the last 30, 40 years in America, like running has always been a sport, right? Like, it's a long lasting sport, a long, long time sport.
Okay.
But in America, it's not a very,
No.
from a mainstream perspective, it's not a very popular sport.
When
You
I was
play
running-
football,
Yeah.
baseball,
Right.
soccer, basketball.
And
I don't even put soccer first. Basketball, soccer, and then
I
when you grew up,
was-
hockey.
when I was 8 years old, I'm in third grade. Mm-hmm. I was too small to play basketball. I was too light to play football. I couldn't throw a baseball hard. I couldn't make it do anything. I couldn't hit a ball. I couldn't field a ball. So here's this little scrawny little kid. And I love sports. I still played basketball. I still played baseball and football in the street and all that. But I just wasn't big. And I was a tiny little. When I graduated from high school, I weighed 113 pounds. When I graduated from college, I weighed 121. So,
Jesus Christ,
yeah.
you eat?
I was running.
Dude,
I
I
mean-
shit 121 pounds a day.
I mean, in 68 and 69, I was running 100, 115 miles a week. So,
You know what I put as my goals for 2019? This is a true story. I just gave them to my boss and like peers of mine and others. My goal for this year is to run at least 6 to 10 miles a week. That's a goal of mine. Because I hate running that much. I'm like, you know what? I still want 100 and how many miles a week?
between 100 and 115 miles a week.
For anyone that, because you can't see it, he's shrugging like it's not a big deal that's...
Well, at that time, I wasn't. I mean, I could just run forever. And getting back to when I was 8 years old,
Yeah.
I used to come home for lunch. And we lived a half a mile from Thomas Edison Elementary School.
Okay.
So I would come home for lunch, eat my lunch, and go stand on the corner. And the school was close enough, a half a mile, but I could hear a bell. They ring a warning bell, which meant in 5 minutes You had to be in your seat.
Class starts again.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would stand on the corner and wait for the bell to ring. And I'd run to the school to see if I could get in my seat before the second bell rang after 5 minutes.
And this is at 8 years old?
Yeah.
So
Right.
you already had, which I think we'll continue on with, but you had that competitive edge of like, in running, obviously, the clock matters, right?
I guess it did. Yeah.
It always does, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier. You wanted
Not
to
in
run
training,
something
but,
in X amount of time.
Right.
You wanted to get this done. At 8 years old, you're going, I have a 5-minute window to get back to school.
Right.
Can I do it?
Right. Well, then I started getting cocky. And I'd hear the bell ring, and I'd stand on the corner for 10, 15, 20 seconds, take off and see if I could still beat the bell. And that's how I got started in it. So I said, well, half a mile, that's nothing. So I did a mile, I mapped out a mile in the neighborhood. And I remember neighbors saying, what the hell are you doing? I said, I don't know. I like to run.
Yeah.
I just found out at a very early age I didn't have the speed, but I had endurance to run as long as I wanted to. I mean, even when in my 50s, when I'm training for marathons, it was nothing to go out and run for 3 hours and 15 minutes. It
just didn't.
No, it didn't bother me. I look forward to it.
And you do it with no music.
No. I shouldn't do it, but go ahead.
No, I'm just, again.
There was a kid hit by a car just in the next town south of us this morning, and they said he had his phone,
Headphones on,
he had the earpods or whatever, and he
AirPods,
walked across the street and got hit by a car. He's in critical condition.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it, right?
Yeah.
Like I just bought
I don't
new
want to block
headphones.
out. I do not want to block out what's going
Right,
on.
you want to understand your surroundings, especially if you're on the road. And I just bought a new pair of headphones this week, and I was watching the reviews on YouTube, and this guy's a runner, and he said the same thing. He was like, "Look, as a runner, you want to have that outside noise still come in, so you don't want noise canceling headphones. Like if you do that, like basically you're taking your own hands and your own life in your own.
When I started running marathons, and my wife wasn't, Marcia Eicholtz, who was my training partner, we would run together. And I could not shut her up. I mean, she would just talk for 3 hours. And I'd just go along run. And after 3 hours, oh, we're done?
It just goes by quick.
No,
right? Yeah.
with her talking,
Yeah.
So Ann and I don't converse as much as Marcia and either one of us. But, yeah, she's the talker. And she keeps the long runs the time just goes by.
And she's still a running partner.
Oh, yeah. Just on Sundays, though.
How long have you been running together, the three of you?
Since 96 or 97.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Whatever.
I think that, I mean, from a hobby perspective, right? Because I don't want to say it's a hobby, because I think it is part of your lifestyle.
It is. It's a way.
Right. It's your way of life.
It's my way of life.
But
we get up every morning except Friday. And tomorrow will be Friday, so I don't have to worry about getting up. But we get up and we get out the door 5:30 every morning, 6 days a week, except for Friday, and go for anywhere between 4.5 and 11 miles.
Is there a training plan, or is it just more of like a decision right before you walk out the door?
No.
As of now?
No. Now it's just, well, what do you want to do today?
Okay.
But if we were training for a race, yes, there's a
And you have your own loops that you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we got anywhere from 3.7 to 15 and a quarter, And then if you want to do a 20-mile run, then we just have to put combinations of loops together.
You figure it out.
But
right?
we haven't done a 20-mile loop now since 2008.
Was that the last time you did? When was the last time you did a marathon?
2006.
Which was where?
Maui.
I know. That's why I brought it up. If that's the last marathon you ever do, that's not bad. You finish in Hawaii.
There's still a few on the bucket list.
Yeah?
Yeah, we both want to do Marine Corps, which is in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Love to do Grandma's, and love to do Twin Cities, which is in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Maybe Chicago, not New York.
No.
I have no desire to do New York at all. It's just because the people that half the participants, it seems, that go to New York, they're not in it to actually run it. They just think it's a joke. It's a party. And they'll
If you watch it on TV, it is a party. That's
they'll
how they
walk
present it.
2/3 of it and say, "I did a marathon." That's
Yeah.
shit. I'm sorry.
That's pure runner mentality right there. To where you shit on other people that are actually running a marathon, going, no, they don't take it serious. They just, and I can't argue with them. I've run a 10K as the longest I've ever run, and I thought that was bullshit to begin with. That I had to run over 6 miles. All right, so 8 years old, you're timing yourself,
Yep.
trying to figure out the bell. Let's get through. Let's continue that path into middle school, high school.
Yeah, middle school.
High school, I think.
Middle school, it wasn't clicking yet.
Yeah.
High school, for us, it was just 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
Okay.
Of course, I went out for cross country in 10th grade, and I was 4th or 5th man on the team, just even as a 10th grader. But when it got to track, and I remember it was like the inter squad meet. It was the blue gold track meet before it was the decision on who's going to be running the mile, half mile, 800. So they put me in the 2 mile with Steve Trudell. And he takes the lead, and I take it back. And I'm not supposed to beat Steve. I'm not even, he's not even in my competition. And I kept pushing him, and I get on his shoulder, and I pass him again. And he got all huffy, and he'd come up alongside me and pass me. So it was a war for 2 miles. And the first time I ever ran the 2 mile was a 10:43. I mean, that's not fantastic,
Yeah.
but my coach thought, who the frig is this kid?
10th grader.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just progressed from there. And so by my junior year, I was one of the best in the county and the conference and all that stuff. And by my senior year, I only had one kid that I kept fighting with. His name was Jim Racina. Never forget him. And finally, in the conference meet, I beat him. And it just went on to there. And that's when I started serious thinking about, okay, what colleges am I going to go to? And I got offers for scholarships all over the Northeast, Cincinnati, even Annapolis even tapped me, but I wasn't going to cut my hair. That was in the 60s, folks. I wasn't, no. Cornell looked at me, RIT in Rochester. But anyway, but I decided to stay at Buff State.
Close,
close to home. And we assembled, or not me, but the coach, Coach Marsh, assembled the most unbelievable freshman cross-country team in the country. I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
it's not bragging if we did it. I mean, the only team that could beat us was a team Lehigh, and we didn't
Out
have
of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and we didn't have our top 2 runners that day. I remember the coach saying, "Watch out from this guy from the University of Pittsburgh." I said, "He's going to go out fast. Just stay behind him. Don't try and, screw with him." And we all beat this guy from the University of Pittsburgh. But there was a guy from Bowling Green that took off, and we could not stay with it. Now, I'm saying we because we had runners from all over New York State that were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Mark Ryerson was the greatest runner I had ever run with, and he was from Cardinal Doherty, I think, from Buffalo. But this guy from Bowling Green, and we find out his name is Dave Waddle. After the race, Dave Waddle. Okay, fine. Well, if you do your Olympic research, in 1972, Dave Waddle won the gold medal in the 800 meter. And he is the runner that forgot to take off his white painter's cap when they did the national anthem. So if you look back in the history of running for the United States in the Olympics, Dave Waddle, and he was embarrassed to no end. But I'm watching when he's on the podium, I go, "Fuck, that's that's that son of a bitch that beat me.
Beat us, yeah.
But in the state meet, I'm saying freshmen because in '68, freshmen couldn't compete in varsity sports.
Okay.
That was before Title IX and all
Yeah.
that. So freshmen, we had
It was
our own
its own
freshman
separate team.
But
Okay.
we did an inter-squad cross-country meet, and we destroyed the varsity.
Yeah.
I mean, but in the state meet, we came in 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. I think Lindsay explained low score wins.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the best score you can get. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. I was 6. I was the 4th man on the team, and I was one of the best runners in New York State. I mean, it was just, what a team. What a team. So that's college. After 1 year of college, I remember I was in a class, and Professor Brown gets up and he starts talking, because this is Buffalo State Teachers. That's what it was called at the time.
Okay.
Now it isn't.
It's just Buffalo State.
It's Buffalo State. So Buffalo State Teachers. So he's talking about becoming teachers, and I raise my hand. He goes, yes. I stand up. I said, I'm not here to be a teacher. Well, son, what are you here for? I says, I'm here to run. He says,
Wrong answer.
Wrong answer. I suggest you transfer then, son. So I picked up my books and walked out and transferred to a community college.
Yep.
And it was just so I got a 2-year degree in civil engineering and got hired right out of, it was Erie Community College. Got hired right out of that school, engineering firm in Orchard Park, New York. And 10 years there, and then I moved to Florida.
So after college,
Yes. Did very little running.
so this was 19, right? When you got hurt.
Yep, in '69.
So that's after
Yep.
Buff State.
Yeah, it was January, February of '69.
So what do you do for those 18 years?
Bowl.
Bowling.
Bowl.
Can we talk about bowling?
I got good.
Because I think bowling, first off, it's fun. Secondly, I think it created two of your, and I could be wrong, two of your vices at the time.
Smoking and drinking.
And drinking. See, you knew where I was going.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bill Rogers, my idol, the first time he wins the Boston Marathon, he was still a smoker.
See, I mean,
See?
don't listen to.
And I got a Bill
to the
Rogers story.
studies.
I've got a Bill
Okay,
Rogers
go
story.
ahead. Tell it.
Do it now?
Yeah, do it.
All right.
You brought him up. No,
Okay, yeah.
I guarantee you 85% of the people listening to this have no idea who Bill Rogers is.
Probably
so you need to tell the story.
95%.
95%.
Bill
Tell the story
Rogers.
then.
Bill Rogers was a 4-time winner of the New York City Marathon and 4-time winner of the Boston Marathon. Boston Marathon, which, by the way, I ran twice, and you have to qualify for that race. So I qualified and ran it twice. Anyway,
We can get into that because I do want to understand like qualifications for certain races, and then I
Okay.
do want to talk about how many
Yeah.
marathons you've run.
okay. So I running in the community around here. I was a race director for the YMCA. They put on a race once a year, so I volunteered to put it on, do the timing and the scoring and all that kind of stuff. And and then this guy, Ernie Chapman, tapped me. He says, boy, we could use some help on our races. Okay, why don't you come to a meeting? Fine. Go to a meeting, and he gets up and introduces me as the next director of the Flatlanders Challenge, which was a major race held here in Florida. And I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Guess I'm the race director now. It might have been maybe the next year. And they invited Bill Rogers to come to the race. And I said, wow. But we had to pay him money to come.
Right.
I mean,
Like
that
a
was
guest appearance.
yeah, right. And he ran the race, and he ran well. But then they turned to me and says, could you pick up Bill from the airport? Twist my arm. What are you, crazy?
Yeah, right?
Absolutely. I go to the airport to pick up Bill. And I said, why don't we go to lunch? There's a restaurant here in the airport. No, I'm fine. Where can I can sit down, and I brought some food with me. Oh, we can, sit over here. He's got a duffel bag with him. He opens it up. He's got a bag of Fritos and 2 candy canes. Bill, this says, yeah, I mean, he told me, he said, I eat whatever I want because I go and run and I'll run it off. Here is my idol.
Oh,
he's eating this crap in an airport. All right, so I get it. One of the people in the running club was going to house him at their home. So I get them to Judy Hensley's house. And Bill Rogers loves Tanqueray gin. And so I'm sitting
Candy
there.
canes, Fritos, and gin.
Tanqueray gin. Yeah, so he's drinking gin and tonics. I'm drinking beers. And he opens up a can of peanuts. The two of us devour this can of peanuts. And he goes, now he's had 3 gin and tonics. I think I had 2 beers. And we've eaten this can of peanuts. Let's go for a run. I said, you're serious? He says, yeah, come on. We can go for a run. Yeah, we did. But
Did you puke?
no, I held it in. It was an experience.
How far did you go?
Oh.
Do you remember?
No, maybe 4 miles. Maybe 4 miles is all.
Maybe 4 miles is all. God. After that, maybe 4 miles. The guy had a half a bottle of fucking gin.
Oh yeah,
and peanuts and 2 candy canes and Fritos.
Yeah, he's a messed
He's a
up
freak.
character. He's a freak. Yeah, I mean, he smoked and still won races. He drinks gin and still runs. I mean, he's. And then he got hit by a car.
Oh God!
And he recovered from that and still.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, yeah.
How old is he?
He's, I think, a year older than me.
Is he still
69,
running?
maybe 70. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where does he live?
In Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Good for that guy.
Yep. He gave me his business card, but he closed up the shop. He had
Yeah.
he had a store down there in Boston. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Bill Rogers.
Bill Rogers. Yep. My hero.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to bowling then.
Oh, geez.
So, create your 2 vices: smoking and drinking,
Well, when
and
you're-
bowling.
yeah.
18 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And even maybe a couple more after that. With bowling came smoking. I don't know. It just kind of went hand in hand. I don't know. And then you buy pitchers
Go to
of
any
beer.
bowling alley.
Oh, geez. Well, not anymore.
Not anymore,
Yeah.
but even
Back
growing
then-
up, and for me, like me being in high school and college, still, you go to a bowling alley. It's just, if you don't smoke a pack of cigarettes, I mean, they're basically asking you to leave.
I was smoking over 4 packs a day.
Oof.
Because I was bowling 4 leagues.
Yeah.
And I kept practicing and buying, learning. There is so much to learn about drilling a bowling ball. I'd be here for 2 hours talking about it. It's a science. It is an absolute science on how to drill a bowling ball. And once you learn how you want it drilled, you can just go off. I mean,
What is drilling a bowling ball?
well, there's a weight in the ball.
Okay.
It's like a counterweight, and it's how much weight do you want? Side weight, top weight, finger weight, and there's maximum and some minimums, and do you want your ball to break late, break early, go straight, whatever you want it to do, sing a song, sing a dance, song, whatever. And so I had all these bowling. I'd go to tournaments. I drag all these bowling balls with me, and but after I found out that if your average for all of your leagues was at least 190, you could qualify to get a PGA card. And I said, I'm there. So I
PBA.
PBA. What did I say?
You said
PGA?
PGA
No,
card.
not golf.
Listen,
No.
if you become
No.
a professional bowler and you get to go on tour on the PGA,
No,
there's
PBA
something wrong.
You can get your see. I'm going to have to drink this other beer.
I know. I just texted Lindsay to beer me.
Yeah, you can get your PBA card. So
Yep.
my average was about 198 in all my leagues. I
Okay.
said, okay, so I applied for my PBA card. And I said, fine, but you're going to have to bowl in 6 regionals a year. Now, the Southeast region was, I'm going to guess, I think it was Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, and maybe North Carolina, but that region of the United States. So you had to bowl in at least 6 regional meets.
In those states.
And you had to fork out the money out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think it was about $225 entry fee. And I go, I'm just going to be a contributor. And they said, "That's what we want.
Of course, they want your money.
Of course, we want contributors."
stupid.
And I said, "I just wanted to get my card, frame it, put it on the wall, and say, I qualified.
I did it."
I did it." No, they wouldn't let me. So, and I actually had my first knee surgery because it was affecting my bowling. Because the knee that I messed up in '69 was my left knee.
Okay.
And that's your plant leg when you're bowling.
When you bowl right-handed.
When I'm bowl right-handed.
Yeah.
And every time I'd go to the line, it was painful. The kneecap was all over the place. I'd have to push it back in place. It was, yeah. And I wore a brace, and it was nasty. So I found a doctor that did the surgery. It was just torn up cartilage. That's all it was. And he cleaned it all up, and he said, "How did you do this?" And I said, "Well, 20 years ago, I fell on the street and tore it up." He says, "Well, if you want to run again, you could probably do it." I go, "Huh?"
Okay.
So it took a couple months to convince myself that I could try it and give up the smoking.
4 packs a day.
Yeah, 4 packs a day to 0, cold turkey. You can ask Ann. It was hell in our home.
But it can be
For
done.
2 weeks. It can be done. You just have to.
For those of you that are smokers,
Yeah.
and you're thinking about quitting, it can be done.
From 4 packs to
a day.
nothing. But it was 2 weeks of hell for me and her.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But
Is there any correlation between bowling and running? Do you have any correlation between bowling and running?
not that I could ever find out. No.
Because, I mean, I
There's-
think it's very interesting that you go from this very competitive runner, very successful runner, to I'm just going to be bowl. I'm just going to be bowling. I'm just going to bowl, but I'm going to do it for 18 years. Like, how do you get into bowling?
Well, both of those. Well, in Buffalo, everybody bowled.
Okay.
It didn't matter.
Okay, all right. So
You
it's
know,
more of like a cultural thing where you
in
grew
Buffalo,
up.
it was cultural. Yeah.
Okay.
When I came down here, then it was you had to be good, or you're out. So, I figured I better start to be good.
What was the difference between New York and Florida then for bowling? Other than what you just said, like, is it just more in Buffalo or New York? Is it more of like a social thing, and then down here it's more of a competitive thing at the time?
There's not enough Polacks in Florida.
Okay, well, there you go.
The Poles run the bowling in Western New York, and everybody bowled. Everybody bowled.
What's the game that they play? It's similar to bowling. The skinny.
Oh, the candlesticks.
Yeah, but it's not candle. But it's not a
There's
bowling
duck
alley.
pins. There's duck pin where you get 3 shots and they leave the pins on the lane.
Bourdain
They do it in Canada. They do it in
Bourdain
Canada.
did a special for his show, and he went
The
to
ball's
Buffalo.
about like a bocce ball, and you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's duck pin. You get 3 shots,
and it looks like
I
the
think.
ring is almost like a half pipe. I don't know. I can't remember. But he was in Buffalo. The Polacks
See,
are the Polacks.
they don't
Polish.
mind being cold, Paul.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I
They
think-
tell the best Polak jokes.
I think for us as a society, we just get so triggered on just calling people what
Yep.
they're just used to being
Yep.
called, and whatever.
A good friend I worked with was Hispanic. I called him Spick. Is Bill Garcia. He says, "Just call me Spick." Okay.
Not in 2019,
No,
buddy.
Not now.
No way. You'll be on the fucking news for that. Okay. Well, I mean, so just a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You brought notes. You're looking
I
at
did.
notes. Did we?
Well,
Because we have plenty to talk about. I just want to make you brought notes, so I want to make
did.
sure I touch on your notes.
yeah. Well,
I don't want this to disappoint you because you've been looking forward to this.
I have been looking forward to this, and ever since he said he'd set this up, I go, "Oh man, one of these days I want to get on that."
I brought my stuff down here for this.
I know. He texted me last night.
Yeah.
He says, "Do you want to do it?" I said, "Yep." It's okay. I'll bring it.
All right.
Most of the notes are things that I was correcting Lindsay on, but I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get into her background. She can't remember when she qualified for this or that. She can't remember. That's
See,
fine.
and you know what? You know what's funny? You've brought up so many people you remember,
yeah.
time frames, dates. Being the age that I am, 34 and your daughter as well. I think, and I saw it in my parents, and I saw it in my grandparents, and I see it in you as well, and Anne. I don't think my generation and the following generations, I don't think we truly capture like dates, time frames, people's names. I can't tell you the day I actually proposed to Lindsay. I can, because it was her birthday. Like, it was a significant event, right? But like
June 2nd.
Right? But like, what if it wasn't, right? Like, I probably wouldn't remember, because I more so I remember my wedding anniversary. Mm-hmm. But like, you remember I met Anne on this date at this time.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned so many people's names. I guarantee you, in 30 years, when I'm at your age, now, today, at this date, I'm going to sit there and be like, there was this person that might have happened on this year. I think that's a good attribute that I think we're losing in today's society too. Is just like this understanding of like connection, because we want things so rapid and quick that we don't cherish the moment. I mean, you're talking about you knew when you stopped running the day you did. You knew at 8 years old. Chuck, I'll be honest with you. I can't remember what I did 3 days ago. Like, to tell me at 8 years old, I knew I was going to at 5 minutes to the bell, I'm running to the school.
I have told this story. I got to say that I'm 68. And when I started back into running at 39, and I started getting into races, 5Ks, 10Ks, and I finally a half marathon. And then I thought, I screwed up my knee qualifying for a marathon. I just want to run one marathon under 4 hours, get it on my system, have a beer, and go home. The first marathon I did was in Jacksonville, and my time was 4 hours and 11 seconds.
So at that point, do you finish and go, I need to do another one?
Yes, immediately. Okay. I mean, it took me 2 weeks because I didn't train properly. That was a learning curve on how to train and run marathons. My best friend running, this Ernie Chapman, whose name I brought up, died just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
After a run, he took a shower and died in the shower. He had a heart attack. But I got him into marathoning. I took him to a Disney marathon. I know I'm going scatter all over.
No, you're fine, because we're gonna pull into that, so we're fine.
I said, Ernie, you got to come to Disney and do a marathon. I says, you're gonna love it. So okay, I'll sign up. The day before the race, we go to the what's the hotel there? One of the hotels. Pick up our race packets, and there's Ernie.
You could have said any hotel. No one's going to fucking fact check you, by the way.
I can't remember what it was. And there, I said, oh, hey, Ernie, you all set? Oh, yeah. I said, so what was your long run? That's usually the topic of conversation. When you meet another, what was your long run? When did you do your long run? Well, I said, I did a half marathon 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, I did 13 miles. And I go, Ernie, you're going to die. You're
doubling it. Yeah.
He said, if I can run a half, I can run a full. Wrong. Can't do it. I passed him at mile 20, and he was walking, and he was in pain.
Yeah.
So, and then he actually did the 50 states plus one Washington, D.C. So he did a marathon in each state and Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, that's how we got to Maui. Ernie had 6 marathons left to go before he got to his 50 plus one. And we called his wife, Linda, what race is going to be his last? And she says, why? He says, well, Ann and I were thinking, we got him into this crazy sport.
Yeah.
Now, I only did 16, but he did 120 or 100, I don't know, something like that, over 120 marathons. I got him into the sport. We want to go where he's going to do his last marathon. What's on his schedule? And she says, well, it looks like it's going to be Iowa. And we said, No, it's not.
Like, pick a new one, dude.
Pick what's on the list. And she's going through the list and she goes, Hawaii. You go,
Iowa.
that's it. Hawaii. Pick one. Let's go. And so Ann and I and Ernie took his whole family, and we did the Maui Marathon in Hawaii.
When was it?
September 2006.
So that's still hot, though.
Oh, shit. I'm telling you.
Because I bet, right, you weren't run through lava fields?
No.
No?
No. We ran through sugarcane fields. We didn't know what the hell was going on. I remember we were like mile 6 or mile 7, and you hear this. It sounded like it was pouring rain. I said, what is that? Until the sun came up. You didn't know, because you started at 5:30 or
right, sure.
5:45 or whatever time it was. The wind was blowing through the sugarcane fields, and it sounded like rain. So we thought it was raining.
Just hissing out, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the sugarcane. So that's we.
Well, you answered one of my questions. So you've run 16 marathons.
Mm-hmm. Ann's run 7.
7.
Mm-hmm. We tricked her into her first one.
Well, tell that story.
Oh, okay. Marcia and I were training for God knows whatever it was. It was probably another Disney marathon. And Ann decided, well, I'll run with you. So, I mean, we would do 11, 12 miles every Saturday morning anyways. So we would increase 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes every week. So on Saturday, if we ran for an hour and 40 minutes, the next Saturday we ran for an hour and 50 minutes, and then 2 hours and 2:10, until we got to about, after 13 weeks, it was a 13-week regimen, and we would get to, they say 3 hours or 20 miles, whichever comes first, but we would go to about 3:10, 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Okay.
And so she just kept running along with us, 2 hours, 2 hours and 10, 2:20. So Marsh and I got an application all filled out, and we said, here, Ann, just sign it. Just sign it.
You're ready.
You're in. You're in. So
Yeah.
she signed it. She ran 3:55, her first marathon. She actually qualified for Boston Marathon in her very first marathon.
How,
And she did a negative split, which is mind-boggling. I have never run a negative split, which means your
explain that.
your second half is faster than your first half is a negative split. She ran
it just takes her a little while to get going.
It does.
That's
and
all?
to this day, she starts out slow, and then if we go out and run 8 miles, she starts out slow, and in the last mile, she just blows me away.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But
Yeah, that's
she
good
ran
stamina.
2 hours for the first half and 1:55 for the second half, which is
Did it piss you off because you
Oh.
ran 4
No,
hours and 11 seconds?
what? No, that was her first marathon.
I know.
Oh, her
You-
first
yeah,
marathon.
your
I
first
I never put that together, Ryan. Thanks a lot.
That your wife, who didn't even want to train or wasn't training
She
for
didn't
it,
even. Yes. Okay. I guess I did the mileage. I'll enter.
You
Yeah.
can go. You can get upset at her now after we finish this. Now that I just brought that up, what is it about running that you kind of touched on it? It was the thing that you were good at, but like I've talked about it before, and I'll bring it up again. Like for a lot of other sports, running is your punishment. You do something wrong, go run. You're
It's an outlet.
You have to do, okay, it's an outlet. You have
Yeah.
to do, you did something, or you have to go train for something, go run this. Like for most sports, it is just your cardio. But for you guys, it is your sport.
Yeah.
So why is running for you, like what is it about running that just makes it, because again, like I think you're unique for the fact that you reach this certain stature in running, right? You talked about the fact that your freshman class could beat the shit out of your varsity class. You were training for the 10,000. You were doing all this stuff. And then you have this span of 18 years.
Yeah.
You're not talking 18 months. You're talking 18 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
To then all of a sudden falling back in love with it. Like, what is it about running?
I remember the first time I went running after the surgery and after I quit smoking, and it was probably 4 months after the surgery. And I went out and ran about 1.5 miles. I came back and cried. I just broke down and cried because I knew I could get it back.
Yeah.
At that, I knew then I could do it. And I don't know, it was just, it was just the only thing I could do good,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
And then I said, gee, I wonder if I can really put this together and run a 5K. And we set a goal, me and Ann and Aaron. And the three of us ran together, although did Aaron beat me? I'm trying to remember. He did, and he was like 11, and he just smoked his age group. It was, yeah, my son was a hell of a runner. He didn't like it. He liked wrestling, but he was good at it, but he just didn't want to. He didn't have the same feeling as me, I guess.
And I'm gonna face that. I fear, as horrible as this sounds, I fear the same thing because I named my child Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
He doesn't like baseball. I mean, fuck me. But at the same time, like, as all parents do, like, we support our kids and whatever they want to do, right? But I can totally understand that, right? Like, thankfully right now Nolan likes it, but I can say that, right? Like, Aaron didn't like it.
Yeah.
He was good at it. And you as a parent going, but why? You're great at it.
His times were better than mine in high school. Much better than mine in high school.
Yeah.
He broke my mile time, my 2 mile time, my 800 time. They had a 4x8 relay. Now get this. Springstead High School, see, it would have been 1995 or 96. 96, he went to the state meet.
Okay.
They had 4 guys. Their time for the 4x8 was 8:01. 8:01 for, that's 2 minutes, a half mile for each one of them. Aaron was the slow guy. He ran like a 2:05 or a 2:04. We had one guy who ran a 1:55. I mean, another guy 1:58. I mean, it was like 8:01. That's nuts. Holy smokes. I mean, if at high schools to now, they do a 4x8, I don't know, 8:30, 8:40, maybe. I don't know.
So,
Excuse me. There's that Bex, see?
Yeah, see, the Bex is repeating on you.
Yeah.
And you, go ahead.
No, he could have been better than me. He got back into it. He stopped running, and he said, well, I said, you can get back in anytime you want. He had a friend that talked him into training again. And in back-to-back weekends, he ran a 15K and a half marathon. The 15K time was 1:03, and then the half marathon was 1:31. I think those were his times. Back to back. It was like, holy smoke. And then it was like a couple weeks after that, he was at a friend's house, and he hopped into a hot tub, swung his feet over the top of the edge, and there was a bolt sticking up out of the top of the hot tub and tore the bottom of his foot right off.
Yeah.
It just tore it up. And he's put on 100 pounds.
Well, again, I don't think just from all that, I just don't think he's recovered from it. Like,
no. And
Lindsay's basically been out for 10 months trying to figure out what's wrong with her foot.
And yesterday,
2 days ago, we basically found out that, so what she thought was a stress fracture and plantar fasciitis was none of that, and now has to basically redo what she was doing wrong to come back to get herself back to what she needs to do. And she said it to her physical therapist. She said, look, I don't need to go train for a marathon or a half marathon, but I do want to get up and go run 3 miles without pain. Like, what the hell do I need to do?
And so many years, my wife and I we ran every night, and for a race, we were training for a race. I mean, we ran a race maybe every 2, 3, 4 weeks at least. We haven't run in a lot of races, but we still get up and and run. And now now we're both retired, so we can get up early, do a run, come back and look forward to a nice cup of coffee, read the paper. So with the races out of the way, I mean, we haven't done a lot of races. I did a lot of coaching in the interim, which was another outlet. I mean, that I'm proud as punch to be able to said that I coached girls cross country, boys cross country in high school, and then coached track in the middle school. I started a running club in my wife's elementary school. Oh, okay, go ahead.
No. I pointed at you because I think from an outsider looking in, which I'll act as, I think for the future of running, or just you as an individual that loves running, somebody that loves running or something like running, a sport or anything in general, loves something like you do, I be it running, has created something that you're gonna talk about it. There's this running club, and it's not a running club for teenagers or high schoolers.
But that's
what's
how
the
it
running
started.
club for?
That's how it started.
Okay.
When I retired the first time, I'm not going to get into that. That's just a whole other chapter.
This is about sports, fitness, and
Yes.
life. We
That's
can
right.
talk about your life if you want.
When I retired the first time, my wife asked me, she said, "So what are you going to do now?" I said, "I don't work in the yard. I don't pull weeds." She says, "Well, look, why don't you come into my classroom?" She's a teacher, an elementary school teacher. She now is retired, but 6 years ago. She said, "Why don't you come into my classroom as a volunteer aide and help me?" I said, "Okay, I can do that." I said, "Okay, fine. I put in your name through the screening process. You've been approved. You can start Monday." Oh, all right. So she just threw me in the fire, signed me up. So I'm walking through the hallway.
You know what it was? It was revenge for the fact that you had a girlfriend when you were trying to.
Sorry, Betsy.
Yeah.
Betsy Turner, if you're out there, I'm still alive.
Listen, Betsy Turner's not listening to this thing. If she found me, then good for her. Go ahead.
So I'm walking down the hallway, and the athletic director, who I didn't know, he stopped me in the hallway. He says, "You're that running guy. You're that running guy." I go, "Yeah." I said, "Boy, if I got
running guy."
That's what he said.
Nice reputation.
He said, "Boy, if I got a job for you." I said, "I want you to coach the track team." I said, "Well, I'll help out. Okay, fine." I said, "But what do they do now? Because this is now into the fall, and they're just." I said, "Well, they're in the other sports." I said, "Why don't we set up a running club? And so I can get them into shape, so when they come in, first week of February, whenever you start, so they're in shape for running."
Yeah.
That's a great idea. We'll do it under the title of a club, and not because if you're participating in a sport before the season starts, you can get in all kinds of trouble in the state of Florida. So we set up a club. Well, as it turned out, 34 kids showed up. 33 of them were K through 5. So they weren't middle school kids.
Okay.
At the time, the school was K through 8.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Well, okay, I'll work with these kids."
Yeah.
And the next year, there was like 45 kids. Again, K through 5, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They don't show up. They just don't come. So then I take the show on the road. We go back. The elementary school where my wife was working was being remodeled. So we go back to the school, and the principal said, "Well, you're still going to do the running club, aren't you?" I says, "Well, okay." Well, 114 kids sign up, and I had to draw the line in the sand. I says, "This is getting out of hand." And the kid, they just want to run. I trust me, I don't get it. I never got it. I still don't get it. It was like the Pied Piper or something. I would walk down the hallways, and the kids would just, "Come on, Mr. Boldt, let's go." and it was just crazy. The principal came to me once. Every teacher's got an assignment when the school lets out, whether you're working with you're helping the walk-up kids be dismissed, or going to the buses or the car loop or whatever. He says, Mr. Boldt, you dismissed 20% of the school population by yourself.
Impressive.
I never thought of that.
Impressive.
And the running, now I'm out of it till I stopped coaching everything. And the kids still, they'll text me, they'll call me, can't you come back and help us and lead us? And I had to stop at some point. I mean, it just, because I want to spend 85% of my time in Charlotte.
Sure,
sir.
I know. You want to get up there. So, from that running club,
I've got kids that are just will blow it.
I'm sure
I'm
sure there's some great kids that have come out of it, right? And let's talk about that for a second. But before we get there, how does that? I mean, I'm sure there's got to be, like you said, I have to draw a line in the sand, but there's got to be some of that feeling of great. Like there is this same admiration for what I love that these kids want to be involved in. Like there's got to be that warms your heart type feeling. Like, okay, like I'm not wrong for liking this sport. Like, look at the youth that want to kind of follow in.
And then each year when I assemble these 100 and some odd kids, together, and I'll tell the same stories about how I got started. That's how I know the dates and the times.
Yeah.
And then I bring up, I've got a little script of the 100. See, I ran in the 100th Boston Marathon.
Okay.
And I actually have spoken at Kiwanis clubs, different organizations throughout the counties here on a luncheon and stuff, and talking about my experiences in the 100th running of the Boston Marathon, just how many people and what was involved in putting on this thing. I mean, when I heard about the 100th running, I mean, I thought, my God, yes, I'd love to return to where I was supposed to be in 1969. And that's when I was training with Marcia, and we had to qualify. We just had to qualify, and we ran our ass off. And one thing that Ann and I don't do today is a day of speed work each week. I mean, there's no speed left in this body. There just isn't. I mean, Marcia and I used to run 10 halves in under 3 minutes. Each one.
So speed work, you're talking sprints.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we would do 800s, half mile.
Okay.
Half mile repeats. And we would start with 4 and then do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 8, 6, 4, and then race day. So each week.
Okay.
And we would run them under 3 minutes. From 2:55 to 3:05. I'll give it that.
Okay.
There was one of the writers for Runner's World magazine. His name is Bert Yasso. And he had a theory. He said if you could run 10 halves in, like, say, 3:05, you should be able to run a 3:05 marathon. Well, Marsh and I put it to the test, and we ran a 3:15, which is not that bad. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, out of his theory, anyways, I mean, it's a fairly good time. I mean, it's not Olympic quality. I mean, we were 46 years old when we did it, 45. But, so, yeah, we don't do the speed work anymore. I just can't do it. Can't do it. Ugh.
If you were to tell me now, what's the... And I don't want you to name the best marathon you've run, but what's the best marathon to run?
Outside of Boston. Forget Boston. Boston is, listen.
Boston's the Super Bowl?
That's our Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's exactly.
Boston's your Super Bowl. Outside of the Super Bowl. Best again, not that you've run.
No.
Best marathon.
That I've run or not run?
No. Best marathon out there. And then I want to know the best marathon you've ever run.
Okay.
Not time-wise, but the most enjoyable.
Well, it's hard to say which is the best marathon out there if I haven't experienced it. But
from what you know.
from what I know, the LaSalle Banks Marathon in Chicago
Okay.
is, for whatever reason, it's got the best times, whether it's pissant flat or whatever.
You know LaSalle Bank doesn't exist anymore, right?
No, I didn't.
Bank of America bought them like years ago.
Bank of America. Okay, well, the Chicago
There you go, the
Marathon.
Chicago Marathon. You're dating yourself. For the... yeah, LaSalle Bank doesn't exist
Yeah,
anymore.
they get good numbers, and for whatever reason, the most elite runners are there. And yes. Oh, hello.
Sorry.
Lindsay, my daughter just walked in. But yeah, not LaSalle, Chicago Marathon is probably, they say, one of the best in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the best one you've ever run? Your favorite?
My favorite, it was Burlington, Vermont.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, outside of Boston. Don't forget. I mean, that's
We're
the
not talking
Super
about
Bowl.
Boston.
No.
We said
Yeah.
we take that out.
Burlington, Vermont. I mean,
Because how many times have you run Boston? One?
twice.
Twice. Okay,
Yes.
so 16 marathons, 17 marathons you run?
16.
So 16, so you have 14 to choose from.
Burlington.
Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah.
And Burlington's the one with the... If you...
There's an escarpment.
I point a lot.
Yes.
I'm pointing to your kitchen
Yes.
that has the poster with all
Yeah.
of the...
Well, the people?
pictures from
Yeah.
all of the... Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
make
We're
this...
each in there twice. Yeah.
So Burlington, and then I'm going to get you back to your story. So the Burlington picture is so Chuck and Ann have every poster that they've run, every marathon you've run or close to
Close to it. Yeah. Yeah.
of the marathon. And this one actually has each individual person, and then it creates the state of Vermont.
No.
and you guys
no,
were
it's
in
a-
it twice.
It's just a running scene. With
I thought it was the state, the outline of the state, or is it not?
No, it's just a
A
scene
running
with
scene.
mountain.
Okay.
And, yeah. No.
And then you guys are in there twice?
Yep. Each of us are in there twice.
So you've taken the time to actually like look and search for each
On
of
the back of the poster, they say it's like a
Oh,
grid.
it's like a
Yeah,
puzzle.
like
Okay.
C16, you know.
Oh,
and
okay.
D44, and you can find
I
yourself.
was going to say, because if not, that would have been hours. I'm
yes,
sure.
yeah.
All
Well,
right, so
there's
Burlington,
thousands.
why Burlington?
Well, the conditions were absolutely perfect. When we got up in the morning, it was like 52 degrees and overcast. And at the start of the race, it was 55 degrees and overcast. And at the finish, it was 55 degrees and overcast. It was just the most perfect conditions. And the last 6 miles of the race, or I know it doesn't mean anything to you, but it's an asphalt surface.
No.
It was an asphalt trail, and it was tree covered.
Okay.
And it was just gorgeous. The last 6 miles were just, and it just, they say, and I'm not the first one to say it, the halfway point of a marathon is 20 miles,
Okay.
both mentally and physically.
Yeah.
It's the last 10 kilometers.
That really,
Yeah,
the 6 miles. Yeah.
And so the last 6 miles was on this nice asphalt surface, tree canopied, and it was like a tunnel running down to a tunnel, and it was just gorgeous. And there was an escarpment because part of the race was on a lower level and some of the race was on the upper level. And at the halfway mark, you run up this hill to get back at the upper level. And Anne said hello, Bronx. You said
The dog's scratching himself like a rabbit on all these empty boxes we have. Okay. All right.
But yeah, so at the halfway point, if you're running the half marathon, they would just get off. And if there was actually a relay too.
Yeah.
So you'd have to watch for the bib colors. They would have different colors if you're done the full, the half, or the relay. Because if the guy's doing the relay and he passes you, let him go.
Yeah, you don't need to chase that guy.
Yeah, you don't have to chase that son of a bitch.
And he's not exhausted. He hasn't run 20 miles
No,
so far. Yeah.
No, right. Yeah.
So, what would your advice be to anybody that? I mean, you are by far the most seasoned runner I've ever met, right? So, like, what is your advice to anybody that's a runner? Because you've done
Get comfortable shoes.
Comfortable shoes.
Comfortable
I think that's
shoes.
great advice.
And never run alone.
Okay.
And vary your running routes. Those 3 things. Comfortable shoes, never run alone.
And vary the running
And vary
routes.
the running routes. Yeah. Like if we've got different loops set up and this is, let's do the hill loop towards Hawthorne, or let's do the Cooper Hill loop, or let's just do the Huntington loop, or let's do Lima loop. I mean, we've got them all
Anything.
named, you know.
If you were to pick a marathon today, what would you run?
It would be Washington, D.C.
DC.
The Marine Corps. Yeah.
Marine Corps.
We were both training for that in 2008, and we both got injured. Anne got injured first. She pulled a hamstring, and then I've got a hip flexor or something. It was something in my right hip. I don't know what happened. A dog actually darted out at me, and I bolted and
You
it
kind
just
of jolted
jostled.
it a little bit, yeah.
And
that's all it takes.
that's all it took. I'm running in a straight line, and that just brings to my daughter. That's all she could do was just run in a straight line. She could just, and she talked about that. It's a killer. That she can't dribble a basketball twice.
She can't catch a ball. She can't catch paper towels that I throw at her to help clean up the kitchen when the kids are getting messy. No, I mean, superior athlete, apparently. All right, you look at your list. Did we cover everything?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I did one thing.
What haven't we covered?
One thing I wanted to talk about was because y'all went to Wingate. And I can
did.
say y'all because I've
Yeah,
lived here.
and you live in Charlotte.
Yes.
Your vacation home.
Yes.
Like we talked about earlier,
Yes.
you can't
Yep.
hide money.
The recruitment trip to Wingate. Lindsay did not really talk about this, but this is,
Okay.
first of all, just the trip itself was crazy. The university was going to pay for her travel, but not ours or
Yep.
something. I think that's how it worked. And so we were trying to fly from Tampa to Charlotte. And for whatever reason, you could fly to New York City cheaper than you could fly directly to Charlotte and get off the plane. So what we had to do, we flew from Tampa to Charlotte, changed planes. Listen to this. Changed planes, flew to Raleigh, rented a car, drove from Raleigh back to Charlotte, and then went for the recruiting trip. And then when we picked her up, we had to drive from Charlotte back to Raleigh, got on a plane to Raleigh, flew back to Charlotte, changed planes, back to Tampa. And it was like a third the money. And we talked to US Air at the time. I says, do you realize how stupid this sounds? Yeah, well, that's how you're going to have to do it.
They know how stupid it sounds. They just don't care. I mean,
I know.
That's just their industry.
So when we dropped off Lindsay at the university, and she was going to spend the night with the cross-country team. And we were going to go back to the hotel and go out to dinner. And in the meantime, Dr. Dennis
Johnson.
Johnson.
How can you forget DJ?
I know, DJ.
We've been drinking. He's
Yeah,
not
we have.
listening. He's not listening. Don't worry.
Dennis, you out there? You're in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, I think no.
Isn't he?
Well, I'll find out later.
Okay. Great guy, great coach.
Oh, I love him. Came to our wedding.
Yes, he did. Yep. So we dropped her off at the school, and we go back and we go out to dinner. And of course, DJ took us on the tour and explained just how much how much it was going to cost. And it was $23,000 a year or right? $23,000.
19.5, I remember.
Was that the start?
By the time we finished, it was like 25. Now it's like 45. I don't even know what Wingate is.
Isn't that crazy?
It's great. Yeah. Well, it's also tripled in. I was going to say head count. I'm into business, not head count.
Did they ever build that addition that I designed for y'all? And
they did.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Holy
you got to go
crap.
back to the
I
school,
gotta go.
man. They have that done. They have new dorms, all new apartments.
Because they
have
wanted
new
an
schools.
addition on that. What
Yeah,
the building?
it's
with those,
the Cuddy Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And I
they
came up
redid
with
it. Yeah, with
And
the
they really
arches
did-
and everything.
yeah.
They did something similar. It's not like exact, but
Crap, I got to go look at
oh,
that.
that's great. Yeah, no, they redid all that. So
I'm a frustrated architect on the see if
that was don't see now like that was how I graduated by getting that project done. Like, don't take credit for it. Like, no, we did it. We designed it.
Okay. Yes, you designed
Yeah,
it.
you
Yes,
helped us
I
with
had
the
nothing to do
AutoCAD
with
part.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
AutoCAD part.
So we dropped her off.
yeah.
And we go back, and we're sitting in this restaurant, and I had a wonderful chicken salad. I remember that. It was crazy. All right.
It's not crazy.
I'm
If
sitting with
anyone's
a
been
Chardonnay.
listening this long, you know it's not that crazy. The fucking guy knows the date and time. The time he met his wife.
So, okay, stop.
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah,
Wait.
go ahead,
All right.
sorry.
So, because we got to wrap this up. How long have we been talking?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me look at the time. An hour and 26 minutes.
Oh shit! All right, let's wrap this up. So we drop her off. We go back to the restaurant. And we're gonna go back to the hotel. And we're saying, "This is crazy. How are we gonna come up with $20,000 $1,000 a year?" I said, and that they were gonna offer some scholarships. And I said, I hope that she just changes her mind and just wants to go to USF. The next morning, we go pick her up outside the dorm where all the girls, and all of them are lined up, and they're all giving Lindsay this big hug, and they're all crying, and they're all sobbing, and they're kissing each other. I turn to my wife, I go, oh shit.
Yes, you're screwed.
that.
You're
I'm screwed. This is going to cost me a fortune.
We're gonna have to sell a house. Second mortgage.
Third
mortgage. Oh my
whatever.
God.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got houses all,
Again, you're into big real estate. You're a developer.
and I'm looking for another. Now, I'll go into that later with you after we're done here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not recording about another real estate transaction.
Yeah. So we thought, then it's going to be Wingate. We got to figure this out. So, because that was almost the same shock when we got the sticker price for the wedding. We go, how the fuck are we going to do
Listen. We were very respectful.
No, it was perfect.
I was gonna say you wanted the seafood. We were willing to go without it. See. Little did you know that she was going to meet such a gentleman suitor like
There
myself.
you go. And I'd be sitting here like this.
Yeah, sitting in her bedroom in your house of almost 30
With all
years.
these Wingate plaques all over.
Of basically all of her accolades and like probably like ex-boyfriends are hanging on the wall around here. Who knows?
2005, 2002.
And the dog's dead asleep on the bed.
Yep.
And we're just sitting here just getting housed.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. Did we cover everything
Enough.
for you?
Yeah.
Enough?
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Hey,
Dude, listen. I can go on for hours. I really don't give a shit. You have to go to bed.
No, I don't. Because
Neither do I.
No.
I'm just out of beer.
No.
You only got me a 6-pack, so I'm out of beer.
Oh shit! Is it really gone?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my god! I said if there's any left, my son would drink it, but
You know, he
jeez.
can drink what I
Well,
poured
you're
down
going to be
the
stuck
sink.
with Beck's.
That's fine.
What was I going to say? Oh hell!
If not, I'll wrap it up easily.
I
And we can bring the girls in here for one question.
yeah, that's great. I had stage fright. This goes back to 19. Okay, I'm going
Yeah, go for it.
1967, and I was.
You've already aged yourself.
I
so
know.
I mean, I don't think.
I'm on the stage in high school, and I had to give a speech because I was the captain of the cross country team and all this stuff, and next year's captain, and handing out the awards. I could not speak. I was frozen stiff. Okay, so like 35 years later, I'm in a church, and I was asked to do a children's sermon, and I said, I can't speak in front of people. So it's no problem. And I have learned how to gab. I mean, you give me a prop, you give me anything to talk about. I'm a talker.
I don't think anyone's going to argue that. I mean,
No,
if they
yeah,
look at the
listen.
fucking timestamp, we know.
They're going to fall asleep listening to
No,
this.
it's fine. The worst one was Mike Claudio. The guy talked 45 minutes, and Mike's going to listen to this. He talked for 45 minutes on one topic until I told him to finally shut the fuck up because we basically covered nothing, and it was 45 minutes in. At least we have a good story here.
Yeah.
You have any questions for me?
Wow.
I love and ending with that. Most people are like, "Oh no, I'm good."
About
Anything.
About 2
Ask
cents
me a
worth?
question.
Or...
No, ask me a question. What do you want to know about me? Look, I learned so much about you today that I didn't even know.
Are you going to stay in that home?
No.
Okay. I know both of you
I'm
work
going to
for...
stay. I'm going to stay in that area of town.
Yes.
I'm going to stay in that. If I can make it work, I'm going to stay in that school district.
Yes.
For the boys.
Yes.
Because it's a
The
very
elementary
good,
school is awesome.
It's a very and the kid, the oldest, is doing great, and I want to see the youngest follow suit with that same type of education.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay in that school district. But are we going to stay in that house? No.
Yeah.
Long term, no. Do I think? I mean, I could see myself in that house for another 10 years.
Woo.
But I mean, I have ambitions to move up and continue to move forward with my career outside of this that pays me $0.
Yes.
But actually costs me money.
Do I have to put a $10 bill on
Actually,
the table here?
you need to start paying for some of this equipment. Actually, I think I might start doing that. Every guest that comes on, be like, "Hey, thank you for coming over. You owe me $10 for every download. You owe me $1." No, but we'll move out of that house.
Yeah.
If not, I'm gonna fucking blow the back out of it and add another 1,000 square feet.
Yeah. And you're going to stay with the job and the career that you're in?
Why not?
All right.
I love the company I work for.
Yeah.
I was talking to my team earlier this week, and we're currently hiring some new people on the team, and we were talking about, the team and the company, and one person came out and said, "You know what? Of all corporate jobs, this is really, really great." And I said, "Okay, explain to me why it's really great." They're like, we make it as a company really stressless. And I said, and this is like a 28, 29-year-old telling me this. I'm like, I'm glad you can see that. I'm
Wow,
like, there are a
good.
lot of corporate jobs out there that can, what you do on an everyday basis can make it seem like it is, do or die every day. Like for us, like it is a job and it's hard, but at the same time, it's rewarding. And if you have the right people around you and the right team, it can be something where you can just shut it off, go home and go, you know what? Yes, I still have to do my job, but at the same time, like I can take a deep breath and be like, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's a great company. And my wife works at the company, as you know.
Yeah. Well, 47 years of working,
Yeah.
I worked for 3 companies,
Yeah.
10, 18, and 19. That's it.
I've worked for 4 companies.
See,
It's just, I mean, it's different
but
age.
it's in the
and
same
probably, for me to say that 4 companies, there's probably a lot of people out there going, "Oh, that's not a lot." And I've been in the workforce for 13, 14 years. And there's probably a lot of people that go, "That's not that bad." Especially in the industry that I'm in,
Yeah.
which is contingent labor. I mean, you have people that change jobs in industries, companies every 18 months. And they do that for 20, 30 years of their career. And that's fine because it's something that they're just used to and it's good paying. But no, I think the opportunities that my company has and what we have as just an overall corporation, I would. The only way I would, and I'll preface this, the only way I would is if this became too much of my time and financials.
And paid the rent.
There you go. If this turned around and there was just money flowing in, then I would.
Yeah.
But for now, and as I always want it to be, I want it to be my own. To
And it
where
is.
we can sit here and just bullshit.
Because we went way over an hour.
Oh, I don't care. And if anybody doesn't want to listen to it, that's fine. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me. I bought all the stuff anyways, so if they want to listen to it, they can. If not, that's fine. We'll move on. And there's nobody holding me down for it, and I think it's great. It's fun. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed this. Yeah.
You had a blast, didn't you?
I've been looking forward to it since Thanksgiving, So, yeah.
Anything else? Did we miss anything?
I mean, like I said, I could talk until 2 a.m. So, but no.
Well, let's not do that because I
That's
just sat in
not
the car
enough.
for 10 fucking hours
Yeah,
with my
that's
two
right.
kids and my
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you crushed it.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks. Thank you.
you. I again, we talked about it earlier, and I want to finish with this. I've known you for now. When did I meet your daughter? 2001.
In a cross country meet.
2001.
It's the same day I met your parents. I think I met your parents before I met you, because your parents were
Probably
at the meet.
because I was. Well, I think I was down
You're
like.
wandering around.
Well, no, I was probably down at a tree, like directing people in this meet.
You were.
And I got yelled at by Lindsay and all of her friends. They're like, "You weren't excited. You weren't cheering us on." I was like, "Your sport's fucking boring." I'm sorry. I stood next to a tree and told you where to run. You don't even know where to go. So anyway, yeah. So I've known
I
you
think
for
I met your parents before I met you.
now 15, 16 years.
Whatever.
And I learned more about you today than
Then
I
maybe we
had-
should have sat down with a six pack and done this earlier.
yeah. Maybe something a little more, dressy. I mean, I get an IPA and you got some Becks. Maybe something a little nicer. I know you have some cognac. I'm not going to get into
I
it
got
now.
some great
If you
cognac,
want me to
man.
fall asleep on in your kitchen on your wood floors, I can if you want. But well, no, thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.
Anything else? We're good.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
Well, thank you, and thank you everybody for listening. If you didn't notice, me and Chuck had a great time.
We did.
Chuck, Charles, Dad,
Charlie.
father-in-law, Charlie. Any other name?
Chow chow.
I'm not ending with that.
You're not going
All
with
right.
that.
No,
okay.
I'm not going to go with chow chow.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Good night.